Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Spiritus Maintenant. We are currently studying the book A Full Life by Joanna de Angelis through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. As we always like to explain, each chapter is a different chapter, is a different subject. So if you're just joining us, you will be able to follow our studies. We are currently talking about chapter 10 that we started last week,
Mhm.
talking about apply yourself and move forward. So basically, in the first part of this chapter, Joana de Angelis is talking to us that every time that we want, when we come to a realization that we have to endeavor to better ourselves, of course, we are not going to find that many like minds, people that are going to agree with us. It's always going to be an inconvenience for certain people as well, even if it's just to, because they want to prove that this is not possible for us to get better. Not only we have to deal with our own difficulties, with our own our weaknesses, struggles that we will have, but of course we will always be having this um, antagonism, so to say, on the part of many, because they don't want to follow the same way. But as a whole, she's telling us that no matter what, no matter how hard it is for us to go into this path, and the difficulties we may face, that we should apply ourselves and move forward. So, what it is apply ourselves? Applying ourselves in the sense that, um, as everything in life, every talent we have, everything that we are able to do now, it is because we have been doing them constantly. Perhaps the first time you did a certain task, you were not able to succeed as well as you wanted to. But with time, with experience, with perseverance, with patience, you will be really surprised at how much you can achieve. So this is the apply yourself, believe in yourself, even if it's hard at first, and if you're not having the results as you expected, because we want things to happen overnight. Right? It's not like that, unfortunately. It requires blood, sweat, and tears many times, and move forward. So because if we stay and you say, oh, I give up, I'm never going to be able to do it, then you will never going to be able to do it, because you're just giving up completely what you are putting yourself to do. So this is what she says: go, move forward, continue doing, applying yourselves. And then we are going to be continuing with reading what she brings to us, because she brings now in the second part of this chapter some examples of resilience, of people that have applied themselves and have moved forward, and what is the result of that, in order to inspire us. And so this is how she continues in this chapter. So either Philip or Zoraida, who are feeling more like reading today?
I'll be happy to.
Okay,
Okay.
Philip,
Okay.
go ahead.
Where would you like me to start?
Pierre, Paul Brocard.
Okay. Pierre Paul Brocard, the renowned French anatomist and anthropologist who linked the seat of articulate speech to the posterior third left frontal convolution of the human brain, experienced many struggles in his field without having ever been proven wrong. Louis Pasteur, the French chemist, sometimes ridiculed for pursuing airborne bugs, discovered the many bacteria responsible for the decomposition of matter and for being the cause of many diseases, including rabies. Though he saved the lives of millions, initially he was not understood. Ignaz Semmelweis, the admirable Hungarian physician, was a pioneer of antiseptic procedures. But when he recommended that physicians wash their hands, he was banished to Brussels, where he died from an infection. Oswald Cruz was persecuted in Rio de Janeiro when he organized the mosquito killer brigades to save the population from the malaria that was rampant throughout the city. Eunice Weaver was hated by people suffering from Hansen's disease when she created the preventoriums to prevent the children from leprous women of getting the disease. Marie Curie burned her hands with the radiation of diluted pitchblende and yet was disregarded because she was a woman.
Okay, let's stop here. So now as she was talking to us about, you know, change makers, right? Because what we are, this journey that we are in, or that we are invited to be in, is a journey of changing ourselves. And in changing ourselves, we will promote the change of others. Even if we are not preaching, just by observing us, people will learn. It's better to learn by examples than by preaching, so so she brings here well-known people that made great and invaluable contributions, to human society, in the sense of pursuing what they believe it to be right when no one was believing them. So she talked about this first this French anatomist, that one of the parts of our brain today has his name, the broke area, right? Pasteur, that it's one that is we know even more, when he was saying that there were born airborne bacteria, bugs that we have to be worried about, or this Semmelweis, when we have to wash hands, or the mosquitoes, the preventoriums in case of Hansen's disease, leper, and even in the case of Marie Curie, the great power of the radiation, that the power plants that helps us even today, so what she's saying here, those were great names that many of them were not appreciated in their times, were not understood, were seen as crazy, were banished, uh, uh, and but at the end, all these people that were talking ill about them or not trusting in them, where are they now? Right? And what happened to them? We don't know their names, but we know the names of those that have persisted. So this is a way that she's bringing here to inspire us, so that we will learn that for everything that we have today that we take for granted, um, it was due to the sacrifice and dedication of so many people that were not understood, appreciated, and on the contrary, during their times. Any comment or question? Okay, let's read a little more then.
There will always be a reason to fight against the good in all areas of knowledge. Allan Kardec was slandered and persecuted by friends and regulars who attended the Parisian Society of Spiritist Studies, despite being the chosen vessel to bring the consoler promised by Jesus to the earth. Francisco Candido Xavier was reviled by his own nephew and inevitable adversaries as he attempted to illuminate the world with the lights of his missionary mediumship. Jesus was crucified and continues to be opposed to this very day by the blind enemies of love and truth. Be you the one who remains faithful to the responsibilities that speak to your heart. Be concerned when you are praised and applauded. try, try to ascertain where you are going wrong and return to Jesus. But rejoice if you are suffering from incomprehension. No masochism intended. It means that you are being faithful.
Okay. I was remembering a phrase that a person told me once, that only orange trees that give good oranges are stoned. Um, sometimes, uh, like we're talking here, unfortunately, the work that these innovators, change makers, they do in terms of bringing evolution, to evolvement to them, even to themselves, will be very criticized. When we think about Allan Kardec, you know, this slander that he suffered, he was accused of making millions uh, because of spiritism. And in fact, he lived in a very modest house. He used all his resources actually in order to publish the spirits book, the first one. He used all his money to publish because no one wanted to help him or invest in something that was this new. He continued doing that up to the end of his life, and of course, in spite of being a very renowned person in France at that time, in Paris at that time, everyone turned their backs to him that didn't want to have anything to do with the spirits or any kind that would be anything that would be talking about spirit life. Chico Xavier, he suffered the same thing through his life. And even like, we are studying a book from, the medium Divaldo Franco with Joanna de Angelis, but Divaldo Franco, he goes through so many struggles and so much slander and malice. But when we are doing, the thing is, and sometimes we wonder, how can they do it? Because sometimes it appears to be too much. And that's why she says, apply yourselves and move forward. Do not stay there, trying to battle with the shadows, light a small flame, and just go ahead and follow your path. Because sometimes we waste so much energy uh, being in the defensive mode, that when it comes for you to do something that really could impact yourselves and the lives of others, you are depleted of energy already, or you lose sometimes even hope and faith because the battle seems too big. So we know we our goal is to move forward. And so let us not be too much distracted with what is happening around. Otherwise, we will be wasting time and losing our perspective, missing what we want to do. I mean, of course, when we talk about Jesus, when we talk, but even when we talk about ourselves, I'm sure all of you have gone through this, you know, or at least some suspicious looks when you say something more spiritual, or you say that you are pursuing a spiritual more a spiritual life, or more moral ethical values. um, it's it requires courageous people to do that. Questions, comments, Marcel?
I like the sentence that she said, uh, be you the one who remains faithful to the responsibilities that speak to your heart. I like, because sometimes we know the thing we need to do, right? And because we feel fear, scare, we don't move forward. And I like, because we need to pay attention about these responsibilities. So if I have some ability, it's because I need to do something about this, you know? So, because sometimes some friends ask, how can I say if I'm the going well in the life? I say, I don't know, but I think the answer is like, you're feeling fulfilled, you're feeling that you uh, taking these responsibilities that speak to your heart, like she said, no? So I like it, just said, it's just a comment.
Anyone else? Yes, Sonia?
Then it's always a question for me in situation then how much I can share something with the others, and another time I should be quiet. It's this kind of balance. Then of course I suffering already when I try to share with others and the others resist and point the finger on my face like, oh, you are decent, like now. Then, or pick my fails to example. You see, you say something and doing different. And by experience, then we need to know every time when we find resistance, it's time, go back, be quiet and wait or pray or ask for some intuition, because every time when I try to share good in like really bad situation, what happened was the shadow tried to cover me, and then I lost my balance and everything. Then nowadays I have like more sense to know about this. Of course, it's not always. Sometimes I catch my trap, but anyway, I'm trying to remember this kind of what the message tried to share with us. Instead to confront the bad situation, try to be a good, then it's time to go back and wait when people really need our help.
Yeah, this is a very hard thing for us. But the thing is, we are here to take care of our progress, us as individual. And this is not a selfish statement. Okay, it has nothing to do with selfishness, with just thinking about ourselves. But if we want to impact others to, to follow in the same path that we have chosen for ourselves, the one that have spoke to our heart, like Marcela mentioned here, there is only one way. It's if we do it little by little, they will convince themselves that this is the way of doing it. We cannot force anyone to go. The more that we wanted to do it, sometimes we would love to see, our loved ones taking the same steps, but we cannot. And so, in this sense, the only thing that I can do is work on my inner improvement. And in this sense, like we learn, and here it proves that has nothing to do with being selfish, is one of the main points is helping others. But helping others doesn't mean we want to force them to do what we are doing. It just means helping them. um and this is really hard, and like you said, there is always a fine it is always difficult for us to know when to share, how much to share. um One thing that I know is that we have not to be quiet. We should not be quiet about it. But if people could perhaps perceive that we are different more because of our behavior than because we say to them, oh, I'm a spiritual, or I follow spiritism, or this or that, this would be the best, right? And like I say, normally when I know someone, when I'm introduced to someone, if there is an opportunity, I always try to say, something like, for instance, oh, Tuesdays I can't because I have my spiritist meeting, or I go to the spiritist center, or I'm reading this book by Allan Kardec, or something like this. And if they don't say anything, they don't say anything, but now they have the information. And when time comes, if it when it comes for them, they will know, oh, I remember that once, Sonia Marcelli told me about this. Let me ask them about if they know something, So it is hard. And to tell you the truth, it is so hard already for us to have to do the work for themselves when you still have to think and worry about all the others. It's impossible, because even ourselves, we're still there. That's why she's saying here, apply yourself, move forward, go. Right? Yeah.
Exactly, it's true, because they always ask me, oh, pray for me, pray for me.
Yeah.
And okay, it's okay. I'm going to include your name there in our prayers.
Mm-hmm.
It's already something, right?
Yeah. So they know.
One step.
And they know. So it's that is enough, you see. And here, this last phrase that she says, rejoice if you are suffering from incomprehension, no masochism intended. It means that you are being faithful. Like the examples that she gave above, there were not a single example that she gave before, from besides Allan Kardec and Chico Xavier, that were anyone related to any kind of religion. It was everything related to life, to science, to improvement of the society. Okay, uh, so in every field of life, when we are going to bring innovations, when we are going to try to think about in a different perspective, we will meet this antagonism, people that are going to try to block our way, to make our way impossible. And so sometimes this can be a sign that you are on the right track. Do we like it? No. We want this to happen? No. But unfortunately, in the time that we live, it may be an indication that we are going in a different direction, and this is our goal. We don't want it to go in this direction that we know already that it doesn't work. We've been there, we had the experience, we're tired of that. We want to try something different, right? Okay, let's read the last part.
The roads of Assisi, like the Via Crucis, within their own characteristics, are the only paths that lead to plenitude. The mountaintop, from where you can see for miles, is conquered with immense sacrifice in extremely difficult conditions. But once you have reached the summit, the beauty of the views, the silence of solitude, and the height will facilitate your communication with God. Never stop for whatever reason. Climb the mountain with the certainty that you will reach the summit.
It's interesting here that she mentions the roads of Assisi. Uh, for those who do not know, the Spirit Joanna de Angelis is very connected with the Spirit Francis of Assisi. She, in fact, is the reincarnation of the spirit of Clare of Assisi. So that worked together with Francis of Assisi. So they have a very fraternal connection, and um, and she always emphasized uh, the beautiful work that Francis of Assisi accomplished with us when he was with us. So when she mentioned here the city of Assisi, that is actually at the top of a mountain, she is kind of, uh, inviting us to follow the footsteps of Francis of Assisi, that uh, he was leaving behind everything that could be an impediment for him to go up, to raise to God. But when we are talking about this, sometimes people will say, oh, but do I have to leave behind my family, my house? We are not talking about that because, sometimes it's so, I mean, it's so much easier. It may not seem so, but it would be so much easier, perhaps, for us to leave a profession, a job, or a certain material comfort behind than actually to leave behind our imperfections. Here we are talking about imperfections. Here we are talking about the weight that the spirit carries that represents the imperfection. So along the road, the more I go up in this mountain, it means the more I rid myself from selfishness, from vanity, from malice, from all these things that could be weighing me down and not allowing me to reach what is truly good and is spiritual. So, like she says here, this is a, a a path that we have to track. I mean, it's the way to the summit. It's the way that we have. It's not going to happen overnight, and please do not think that we we will do that in just this incarnation, but it's a process. Think as, each incarnation is one school year. How many school years do we need to be graduated, uh, and really pro in certain things, sometimes 20 years. So here we are talking at least 20 incarnations, right? But there are the incarnations that we fail. We have to repeat that year again, right? And one incarnation doesn't necessarily happen right after, one is finished, the other one be happening. So we are talking about millennia. But this should not be an excuse for us to say, oh, it's so far away. But if I don't start today, it's going to be even farther away, because it will come a point that we'll say, I have to start. Everyone is doing it. It's only me here, right? So this is why she says, apply yourself and move forward. I think the more we think about it, the more we understand the way that, Joanna de Angelis is inspiring us, the way she brings us this knowledge, the more we will succeed in doing that in a way that we will be less affected, because criticism may still happen. We may still find it difficult to do this or that thing, but at the end of the day, we'll say, okay, it's part of the road, and I have to equip myself. I was thinking about, I have friends that went in those pilgrimages in the road of Santiago, and I mean, it requires so much preparation for you to do this pilgrimage, because I don't know how many miles. There are two ways of doing that. Uh, so there is a shorter path, which is still very long, a lot of miles. There is a longer path, but you have basically to train a year, because you have to walk, you have to to face nature. You cannot carry a lot of things, because you really have to know what to carry, what to take with you, because it comes to a point that is going to be so heavy you'll not be able to do it. You have to have special shoes, right? So this is what we are doing. But of course, everyone that went there, and I have friends that went there more than once, uh, they think that it's absolutely fulfilling. They say that is absolutely fulfilling. And and the thing is, I think very much is like what we are trying to do here. We are on this road. We are preparing for this big journey. Every step of the way, every incarnation, we are trekking some miles of this road that will lead us to this summit, that is finding our perfectibility, right? Yeah, Sonia.
And I understand to improve it, we need to spend more incarnations.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe it's important to say right now, every time when we start taking this path and you really open your heart for the good, we have a red like flowers in our path, in our way.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's hard sometimes. We have a lot of stones and challenges, but it still has support to go ahead.
And it's important what you said, Sonia, because the thing is, it's a very important point, because it is not that just at the end of the road you are going to, receive that reward. And no, the reward is coming along the road, even by the fact of you being lighter. You feel lighter because you know that you're doing good. All the good that you do, that comes back to you. The changing, not everything is going to affect you the way it used to affect before. And I mean, there is a series of things that or big rewards, not as small rewards, right? And happiness, because each the more we go one little step, it's a little step of, in the path of being more happy, of being happier, so it is exactly like that. You are going to be reaping the benefit along the way. There is the challenge for sure, but at the same time, there are the benefits that you are going to be reaping along the way, which is absolutely fantastic. Yes, Marcel?
And I think it's important not to complain too, right? Because I'm working with myself, because
Yeah.
I'm struggling with the stones, and I have the habit, complain. And my husband says a sentence from Bernardinho, the coach Bernardinho from the volleyball.
Uh-huh.
He always says, "Don't complain, show up, do your best." So I use this for me now. Don't complain, show up, do your best,
Yeah.
because we need to deal and complain even worse the situation, because complain doesn't help. And I'm trying to get out this from me, because give up, complain is easier,
Mm-hmm.
but don't complain, show up. I have this in my mind now.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help. But yeah, sometimes we have to vent, but it's not going to help. You see, if you're just venting, it's one thing. But if you're really like feeling all that inside, then it's different. Then is when it's still there is something for us to work, right? Okay, so we finished earlier today. Any other thing? Any other? No? Okay, so thank you. Let me